Yo. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to iSlam Podcast. It is I, your host, Arif Khan. Haven't been on this thing in a while. Let's keep our fingers crossed that I even know how to do this. But hopefully, the gentleman here with me can assist me. So, who do we have here? Habibi.
Assalamu alaikum. Don't know if I can assist you on the technical side, but see if I can assist you on the commentating side.
All good, all good. And we have Yusuf here as well. Yusuf, assalamu alaikum, bro.
What's on, bro? How you guys doing?
Good.
Alhamdulillah.
What's with that
Lucky to be
ugly?
back.
What's with that ugly T-shirt, man?
I was gonna say the same to you. And the hat. Everything okay?
I feel left out of this party. I didn't get the
Everything's
I
good.
didn't get the memo on this.
We have, I think we have Arsal Bhatti also joining, but he'll probably join a little bit late. But we missed our podcast last week. I think we just didn't have enough people to do it. But alhamdulillah, between the three of us and maybe Arsal, we can get this thing done this week. Let's see who's in the chat here.
Where's Rizzy?
Yeah, Riz is always here. Rizwan, where are you? Man, the thing keeps changing. Nope, nobody's here yet. I got 3 people, but no one's saying nothing. So,
No camera shy.
yeah, they'll all get here in a bit. Okay, so I think we missed last week, like I said, but I don't think we're going to really do much of a recap there. But we will, however, go to this past week. Let's see, where are we? So this past week, the first game was Sabr versus Ihsan. And this ended up in a 2-0 win against Ihsan. And Yusuf, correct me if I'm wrong. Ihsan is like I think they only had 1 loss or something all season.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So what happened here? I came a bit later, so I kind of missed this game. But 2-0 against Ihsan, they must have played pretty well here.
Well, I mean, Sabr. I mean, looking at the standings on where they were, they obviously knew how important this game was for them. Obviously, when you got a couple of teams, fighting for that last playoff spot, and Sabr being one of them, they knew that this game was important for them. Sitting behind, I think, with 2 points for that last spot. Hassan, obviously, with I wouldn't say that they underestimated Sabr, but for Sabr, they knew what they needed to do in terms of getting the job done. It's a tight spot where I guess you and I are in terms of our teams, but Sabr for sure. Sabr is definitely they knew that they had to get a win. They knew that with their backs against the wall, they had to come out right from the very beginning, and I think in this game they definitely showed it.
Yeah, and looks like Arsal was the 3rd star, even though I guess in a losing cause. So he must have played pretty well to get a star even on a losing game.
Yeah, I mean, coming off the tough loss to Rida the week before, right? I think it was 7-3 or 7-4.
Yeah.
You really want to, as much as we like to blame the defense, and of course we make mistakes. So I know the feeling. You want to come back strong in the next game. Hopefully, I can do the same tomorrow. We got ran through, but we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having Huzi get 2 assists and part of the big win, and of course Riaz, the other goalie, also getting a first star. Without even watching the game, I'm sensing that it was just a goalie battle. Just one team was able to help their goalie more so than the other.
Yeah, and both teams, not to take away from their offensive, the power. Both teams actually have a strong offensive force. Obviously, with Sabr acquiring Mick, before the trade deadline, it obviously made them a little bit faster. With Hassan, we do know the offensive prowess that they have with with Dawood and Hamza and all the players that they have up there at the front. So definitely when you have 2 goalies that stop those 2 offensive powers on both respective teams, it's definitely a good attribute to actually have those goalies recognized for that.
For sure. Okay, well, let's move on to the next game. So the second game of the night. Oh wow, look at the score here: 7-5.
I guess one of us can speak on that one, right, Yusuf?
Yeah, this might be my worst ISLAM game. Honestly,
Come on.
I let in 6. The 7th was an empty netter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, It was we were up 5-3,
Hmm.
and then that last 5 minutes felt like a whole game. They didn't let off the gas. I mean, they have great shooters. They really picked the corners on me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely got my team down. So that's why I'm trying to come back better tomorrow. Um, and then yeah, just
I don't think you let your team down, man. Don't be so hard on yourself because I watched most of this game, at least bits and pieces, as I was talking to other people.
mhm.
Yes, you did have a couple of goals that you probably would want back, but I mean, when a team gets shelled 6 goals, it's more than the goalie. Your team also needed to really
Yeah, but
step.
it's not even that, Arif. I think it's the when. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Yusuf was
Good
saying,
point.
they were up
Mhm.
5-3 with like two
Yeah.
minutes or 3 minutes
Mhm.
left in the game.
Yeah.
They pulled out their goalie, and it's just it's not you, Yusuf. Obviously, it's a team effort.
Yeah.
But again, it's just I saw this game, and when they pulled out their goalie with, I think it was 5-3. Yusuf was 5-3 at that point in
Yeah,
time.
5-3. They pulled their goalie with about
I mean, from a
yeah, I think 5-4. They pulled their goalie with about 2 or 3 left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 from a spectator's point of view, it was kind of like wow. But if again watching from the outside, but I'm sure Khalas probably has a different take in terms of how that game went for them. But from a
Mm-hmm.
spectator point of view, it really was a fun game
It
to
was a fun
watch.
game to watch. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was just not to your advantage because it's when you're watching a game, goalies out, empty net. It's obviously a lot more. It's pressure, but it's just yeah, Yusuf. It was just unfortunate for you guys because and it wasn't you per se. You guys were up. It's just Rizal just had an answer, and
We
that's
were
just
yeah.
actually
basically what it
talking
came from.
about on
And
the
we were
sideline.
yeah.
We were talking on the sidelines actually about the NHL game where the Canucks were playing. I don't know if some of you
Oh
remember
my
that
God.
one,
Yeah.
right? Where Canucks were up 3 goals, I think, and then within 1 minute they lost the lead and they lost in overtime. So as the goals kept rolling in, we were like, "Hey, is this another Canucks thing going
Yeah.
on here?"
Well, it's
Yeah, we
essentially what happened. Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah we have been having a bit of attendance issues.
Right.
It's two key D man, one's there too. But at the end of the day, we know we have what it takes to beat these guys. We beat them
Yeah.
before. Granted, they were missing a lot of their top guys, but we know when we're on. So just getting over the little things, I think, is going to be the little things like attendance and
Yeah.
just showing up on time, getting that stretch, and whatever it is
Yeah.
for everyone on the team. It's not the end all be all. Still games to play.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yep.
speaking of attendance and showing up on time, let's welcome our Solbet team.
Nice haircut.
Glad you could pull it off.
We
You're
can't
on
hear you.
mute, I think. But Yusuf, I was going to also say that in that game,
Yeah.
one thing I did notice is,
Can you hear me
most
now?
probably because, yeah, we can hear you.
Oh,
We can hear you.
it's very loud and clear.
One
Okay,
thing that
that's
I
good.
think probably happened is you were short benched, and you could see it near the end when you guys were getting all those goals scored against. Your team did look tired. In fact, usually with about a minute or 2 minutes left, you would see Hamdani on the floor. Even he had to be on the bench for a little bit, and we're like, "Hey, why is he on the bench when you need the goal?" So yeah, attendance matters, right? So
Yeah, but even like looking at the counterpart, I mean, we do know Rida and their I wouldn't say attendance issues, but
hmm
their timing issues in terms of like showing up on time.
yeah,
So it's not attendance in terms of like not having players show up, but it's also attendance in terms of showing up on time. But Rida's one of those teams. It's working for them, surprisingly.
hmm
I mean, they might. It's one of those things where it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And they finished. They finished
yeah,
definitely in this game. They came back, showed grit, showed heart, and you got to tip your hat off to those guys. Those guys have a very good system going, and it's working out for them. And time will tell. We'll see how far they get in the end.
hmm Well, I was trying to wonder if our chat was working because we have about 20 people and no comments yet until Abdulaziz showed up.
No,
But
no keyboard warriors, huh?
You what are you eating?
Arif, you're quiet. I don't know how
Was
quiet.
it?
I've
What
been
do I think
talking the
about
whole
the
time.
attendance?
And I was like, what are you eating?
Oh, what am I eating? Oh, THGs. Holy grail. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. And this was an important game for both of these two teams because they were at the bottom of the barrel. They were chasing a playoff spot, kind of like the Habs were, except the Habs were successful in getting in.
Wow.
Unlike Takwa, we're not doing too well here. And another game where Takwa's up, but they blew the lead and they lost. And they could not afford to. This was a 4 point game that Yakin, their big players, their main guys, Wakar and Maz, they showed up and they won 3-2.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things where there's a game, and you talk to both teams, and they both have different versions of the game.
Yeah.
So for us, we also have the same situation. So obviously, speaking on behalf of Yakin,
Yeah.
we've always also been in the same boat where we've captured leads and we'll lose it at the very end. So we also felt the same way because I think we were up 2-0 in this game, and then you guys, or we were up to 1-0, 2-0, but throughout the first half, and then you guys started gaining momentum and started coming back. So we thought it was going to be the same situation in terms of like from our side where we've
Yeah.
always been, because we honestly don't believe we're a bottom of the feeder, pool team, just like every other team feels the same way too. But we don't feel that way. We all knew, both my team and your team, how important this game was for
Yeah.
us. And you're absolutely right. Our leaders stepped up, both Maz and Mokar. We do know what they can do. And hats off to them. They were definitely shining throughout this game. I'm sure that if I spoke to you, or if you definitely saw them, and you saw them a lot
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the havoc that they caused for you guys.
Well, I mean, I think we were up and 2-1 or something, and then you
Hmm.
guys tied it, and then you guys scored another one. And again, this has been the trend for Team Takwa the last, I would say, 3 games, where we have the lead, and in the last 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, we've
Yeah.
blown the lead and lost the game. Right? So we should have gotten at least a point, but it wasn't meant to be. You guys played well, and here's the other thing. Yakin won despite missing Adam as well as Zach,
Yeah.
right? So, I
Wow.
Yeah.
mean, we had our whole team and we could barely hold on for a win. So, I mean, you guys won, but your overall, your team would have outmatched us anyways.
And it just goes to what I was saying earlier. And I'm sure you guys as well, because the players that you have on your team is the same thing. You guys
Mhm.
have the Siddiqui brothers, and we all know what they can do. But just like us, and just like you, we honestly believe that we're not a team where we are.
Mhm.
And when I asked Tukwa, and even when we were analyzing Tukwa before the season started,
Yeah.
you guys are not where you guys should be. So, but you're right. We didn't have Zach. We didn't have other major players on the team, but when you have teams that know what each game is at stake, and
Mhm.
Joaquin definitely knew that it was a 4 point game, and
Yep.
it's like we said, Wakar and Maz, they do what they did. Sorry, they did what they usually do, and alhamdulillah, like we got the victory at the end.
Arsal, Yusuf, any thoughts?
Actually,
Would you?
Arso was it there too? Arso Shahabadi.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, Arif. I think people are having trouble hearing you because quite
Really?
quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I have full volume on my side. How about now? Any better? Like I'm maxing it
I
out.
can hear you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can
It's
hear
just
you.
a little bit lower than our voices, but
Is it okay? Here,
yeah, I
I
was gonna
have I
say,
have pretty much everything maxed. So if you
Oh, we
can't
can
hear me,
definitely. Oh, it's louder now for
But yeah,
sure.
I'm hearing you like super loud. So maybe it's when
yeah,
you guys
yeah,
are
yeah.
talking together.
Okay.
yeah, I see Riyad's comment saying, "I wish Arif was on the team." Well, why didn't you do anything about it then, buddy?
It's the same thing every year. I hear this every year. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and all the GMs say the same thing. Yo, I was going to draft you. I want you on my
Well,
team,
then
and
do
blah, blah,
something about
blah.
it,
You
right?
got drafted too high. Meanwhile, I get drafted in the last round, and everything is like everyone wishes everyone was on everyone's team. But at the end of the day, we know how the draft goes. When they're on the clock, it's all friends and family at the end
I
of
mean,
the day.
I've been GMs. I've been a GM multiple times before,
Yeah,
and this is my view using my GM hat. It is everybody overvalues their guys and undervalues the other person's
100%.
players, right? So it's like when you draft a person, maybe you pick them in the 7th round, but when it comes to trade, you're like, oh no, this guy's a second rounder. I'm
Oh,
like, no, he's
mashallah, is
not.
Gretzky. Like,
However, Riaz does have a comeback. He says, I tried, boys, got to talk to the GMs. And what is this?
Riyaz is a
Riaz is
fake
a
GM.
fake.
Matt, stop scoring own goals, bro.
Shadow GM, shadow GM.
Yeah, exactly. He's a shadow GM right there. But anyways, I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me with the math here, but like, I don't think Takwa, our chances of making the playoffs are slim to none at this point, right? I think we got to win everything and then hope and pray that the right teams falter.
I mean, I'm sure the math wizards have figured it out, and I'm sure the math wizards on your team have figured it out. But I mean, the same philosophy goes to our team too.
Yeah.
The only thing you can control is your own team. So obviously, if you do what you need to do, which is just keep on winning,
Yeah.
then create havoc. Even if you're not gonna, you know what I mean. Even if you're
Mhm.
not going to make the playoffs, at least make
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
difficult for someone else, right? But
for
I don't think
sure.
you're mathematically out, and I don't think we're mathematically out. But your road is definitely a lot tougher than ours than
Lot
others.
tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is I don't know if Takwa's really changed up their team as well either. Like I think
Mm.
I don't know. Like Arif, do you think like have you tried adjusting lineups and kind of looked at what works? And I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, yeah, our GMs have done that. We have mixed things up, and like I said, we tend to play pretty well, right? We play pretty well, but it's at least the last 3 4 games. It's the ending. We cannot seem to keep a lead, and it just slips through. So I don't know if it's a combination. It's probably a combination, but of us not playing well at the end defensively, and the other team really pushing it and they pulling goalies and stuff. So
Can you guys see me? I think my camera just disconnected.
your camera disconnected, but we can hear you.
He's a ghost.
Okay.
The ghost of
Okay,
Yusuf is here.
ghost of Yusuf passed. All right, well, maybe you can drop and come back in, and we'll see what happens there.
Oh, there we go.
There it is. Okay.
The
All
ghost
right.
is back.
So Abdulaziz, what is he saying?
Okay.
Haya 14 points. Face screen smiling, and Riaz. Mohammed, make sure there's no punches thrown this week. Okay.
Yeah, this game was pretty interesting in the end. We'll
I
see
hope
what
there are.
happens.
I've never seen Max throw a punch. That would be interesting to
Wasn't
see.
wasn't the other game quite interesting too? The Rida game
No,
because there was some.
I think he's referring to this game. Yeah, the
Okay.
Haya Iman game. But
Yeah, you missed your chance to get the touches.
anyone wants to take first dibs on this game?
I missed this game.
I wasn't there. I missed this one, but I mean, you can already tell Yusuf Kapoor 23 saves.
He's playing out of his mind. Yeah,
You
mashallah.
never know. Yeah.
That just says everything, right? Like
Yeah. He's so committed, mashallah. Like he has his camera set up in the back. I'm probably gonna start doing the same. I was talking to him about it earlier. He sent me like all these videos that he watches. He's studying Carey Price and Vasilevsky. Like,
that's what. Yeah, he does the same
and
thing.
then I mean, obviously it shines through. Right? Like that's what wins you games. On
Yeah.
and off the rink, just putting in the work, and that's what you see here.
I feel like Iman's success, like a lot of it has to go with the credit. It has to be Yusuf. Like the minute you have him on your team, you're already one step ahead. And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
game was really exciting. Like when I take a look at the score line, it's actually interesting because Zefa Mejida is playing lights out right now, and he's
Oh my
probably
God.
the to win the Vezina.
Who's Josefa
He's
Muya?
playing amazing.
yeah.
And he's the goalie for
Fulham's
Haya,
goalie.
and they got
Yeah.
the lowest goals against going up against Yusuf. So this was a battle of the goalies, according to my opinion. And 2-2, like kind of, it tells you right away what type of game it was. And I think if you take a look, a lot of the shots that Yusuf faced, they were all in the second half. And I know how tough it is for a goalie to in that mindset to continue facing shot after shot after shot, right? Like when you're trying to like either win the game or just keep the score level. So hats off to both goalies, I would say 100%. And he's seeing like Bilal Moyadeen, like their GM and with Luke, like they stepped up. Both GMs stepped up on both teams, but as number one, so everybody's coming for them.
Yeah, it would seem so. I mean, you know, Iman, I've seen some really great games out of them, and some of them have been questionable, which is why they're a little bit up and down. But for the most part, they've had a really good season. I mean, they're 9 points, right in the middle of the pack, pretty much. But when they're on, they're buzzing, right? Those little guys are like running around like like a swarm of bees,
Those little guys.
Energizer Bunny.
non-stop, man, non-stop. But Haya, even though it's a 2-2, they got 1 point out of it, so they're first overall, right? 6 wins, 1 loss, 2 ties, 14 points. So we Takwa faced them this week, so it's basically the first place team against the last. And the funny thing is, every team that I talk to, they're like, "Yeah, we're facing Haya. Yeah, but they're beatable. They're beatable, bro. You can beat them. I know they run and stuff, and they got a good defense, but they're beatable. Yet nobody beats them."
They're
Yeah.
doing something right. I mean, we know what Luke brings. I mean, he brings it every year, and he's done something different. He's gone against his usual, his usual grain. It's
Hmm.
working out for them. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they got all three parts figured out. They got their goalie figured out. They got their D figured out. They got their forwards figured out. Panchati in the front. You got Luke and Akib in the back,
Gurion as
and you
well.
got Mahida on goalie. So
Yeah,
that's been working out for them. And you're right, Arif. Like, I mean, we all talk about it before every single game. Every team is beatable, but
yeah.
somehow Hayas figured it out, and they got a good system going on. So, um, time will tell to see how far they will last through the playoffs.
I think the
Yeah,
reason
that's something
people
that.
under
Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
sorry, quick point I'll make. I think the
Yeah.
reason people tend to somewhat discount their success is because they don't score 6, 7 goals.
Yeah, they're blue collar team.
They have
Yeah.
19 goals, which is one more than the last place team. But their defense is so staggering that that's how they win. Sorry, Yusuf, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of add on to what Habibi said about figuring it all out. I feel like everyone's still trying to get used to this new look on Haya because since I started playing us in 2022, Haya's always been that
Yeah,
very much a blue collar team, very much a grinding team. They always make it to the playoffs. Sometimes they'll make a deep run, but now they've added like Panchati and Ray Khwaja, and now they
hmm,
have this the speed and the finishing ability too, as well as the brick wall and net of Jose Mahida. So everyone's still expecting one version of play, and they play them and they see another one. Then they gotta switch up their game
Yeah,
midway through, and it just throws them
yeah,
off.
because it's not traditional Haya, like
Exactly, it's not that
like with the
traditional high house, but it's
Panchatis and
still
the
there. Yeah.
Khwajas. It's different than
Hmm.
what they normally do.
hmm, hmm.
Absolutely.
I mean, their leading goal scorer is Amar Wasif, right?
Oh,
He's
really?
so he's
Yeah,
very underrated, man.
yeah, he's got 4 goals, the most on that team. But they seem to be scoring as a unit, right? They got
But that's
two, three,
amazing,
two,
though.
three. Yeah, good
Yeah.
distributed goal scoring. I mean, their top guy is Suf, as it should be. He's got what, 8 games, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points.
But
So
it's good they're scoring by committee, right? So
exactly.
I mean, usually teams have their usual suspects, but the fact that you're throwing out names like Ahmad and all that, it's I would love to be on a team like that, anymore. Everyone's scoring, right? But I mean, every team has their own strengths, and it seems like that's highest strength right now.
Well, we got 2 goalies here, but let me throw some stats about Huzaifa Maida here. Right, we've already had people in the chat say that he's having his best season,
Oh, hands
Vesna
down.
candidate. Just listen to some of these stats. His goals against average is 1.38.
Yeah.
One
1.38.
one point
That's
three eight. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
right. That's nuts for a goalie. His save percentage is 92%.
There's
Right. So he's
920
fair.
save percentage, 1.3 a goal. Like, I don't know if I've
Hmm.
ever seen a season at
Yeah.
Iceland and a winter season where a goalie is doing this well. I've never seen it happen before. I don't know, Habib, if you've seen it or if you guys have seen it in the past where the goals
No, I
against
haven't.
average is this low and the save percentage is 920. And like this isn't just based on the past game or the based on past. This has been based on the whole season so far. So when I say like he's mashallah playing so good and
Mhm.
he deserves a lot of the credit for that team. Like I understand you have
Absolutely.
He
your defense and all that, but like you have your Luke and you have your Akif and you have a good defensive core, but it's the
I
mindset
mean,
that a goalie needs to go day in and day, like every week, to be able to
he's making
Yeah.
a
perform
case not
at
And I
just
that
for
want
level.
to.
Vesna. At this pace, he's making a case for MVP.
Oh,
Yes, I
absolutely.
agree.
And
Right.
I
what I
fully
was
agree.
thinking about was what I was thinking was when I got best goal like a million years ago. I
Hmm.
think my like goals against average is 1.7, and I had like Dawood in front of me, I had Adam Ahmed in front of me, I had Amir Hanif in front of me. Like, I had really solid defensemen in front of me, and we won that season.
Yeah.
I think my save percentage was like 890. But yeah, like even with really good guys in front of me, 1.3 or whatever is insane, mashallah.
It's crazy.
A-
Yeah.
a-
And a 920, I don't think I've seen a 920 in S7.
no,
No.
and here's
This
the other thing.
defense in the season
Some
two in a very long time.
right, right, and some people will say that. Well, it's because it's a low scoring season. However, if I look at the stats of the players, right, you have Yaya who has 25 points in 7 games, which is another story of how that is phenomenal, right? So that's a 3.57 points per game, and you have a goalie that's letting in 1.38, huge margin, right? So people are scoring, yet this guy is still making the saves.
And he does it effortlessly. That's the thing with Josefa Mahida. The way I see him play, he's not a goalie that will make desperation saves. He's a goalie that's so good when it comes to positioning that he doesn't have
Oh,
to do much to make the save. That's a good part about him. Is like
Yeah.
okay, when you look at the way he plays the game, he just makes it like
But
effortless.
I'm also going to throw in the Haya hustle too. It's a team
For sure.
effort too.
For sure.
absolutely.
Haya has they've only let in 11 goals, and it is obviously Huzaifa has a big part of that.
Yep.
But the team has bought into that system. They bought into that blue collar, no fancy stuff kind of system, and it's worked well for them. So it's, yes, it is Huzaifa, but it's also a team effort. They're on top. They only have 11 goals throughout the whole season, despite the guys that have scored 20 goals, 30 or whatever it is throughout the whole season. So guys are scoring, but they're just not doing it
Yeah.
against Haya.
I mean, before we move on from this game, one last point I'll make about Haya. The core of the Haya hustle and the core of Haya in general for years and years and years
Luke,
now has been Luke and who else?
Akib, Sadat.
Luke and Akib,
Yeah.
right? Like those two, Sadar as well, but Luke and Akib always GM. They're together. The last few years, Akib has had injuries. I think he's still recovering from them, but he seems much more in form right now. I think Luke, he's always like 100%, 110% energy. And I think the last few years, I don't know what happened, but it just wasn't clicking. But again, maybe he's made some tweaks to his game as he's getting older, as he's adjusting to what he's capable of doing. That's another reason why they're back in, because their core leaders are stepping up.
Yep. Which goes to the point of, the team.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
bought into
Starts
the
from them.
system. Yeah.
All
Who
right.
is this good looking guy?
So we'll get to that in a second. Let me just quickly do this. Before we get to that, since we missed last week, there was a POW on that one, Player of the Week. So I'm gonna run the video real quick, and
Assalamu
here we
alaikum, I'm
go.
Umar Sadat, your player of the week. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Nook Vibrant Kitchen, that provide great halal meals. We as a team performed extremely well in our last game, where we had all of our lines rolling and firing on all cylinders. We hope to take the same momentum into our upcoming games and into the playoffs. Masalam.
There you go. And couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. He's one of the best brothers you'll find in this league. He's always working hard, never complained. Like every time I've played with him, he's never complained about his ice time, nothing. For him to get a hat trick and whatnot, usually who's known as a third liner, that's amazing. So congratulations to him on that
He
one.
deserves it. Yeah.
100%. As for this week, the player of the game is none other than the person in the chat who's been, I guess, semi-talking crap with Yusuf.
Salam, this is Riaz from Team Subber.
Is this gentleman here?
First, I'd like to start by thanking the referees for being named Player of the Week. A lot of high-scoring games, a lot of goals scored. Could have went to anyone. And also, Nuka Vibrant Foods, our sponsor. They provide halal meals. A quick recap of the game. 2-0. One with an empty netter. A tight game. That was one of the not high-scoring games. Top to bottom, our veterans, our young guys. They all contributed in different ways. I tell them it's not always on the stat sheet. It's about how you actually play in the game, and it makes a difference. 2-0 says a lot. Our character, we started off rough this season, but we've climbed back up the standings, and we're slowly making our way up, and I'm really excited for what the rest of the season has. Thank you.
There you go. Riaz, congratulations.
Well said.
He played lights out. I played against him this game, and he stood on his head.
Yeah, yeah.
When he
I think it's the
Yeah.
pads. He's won like six different pads this season, and then this new one, I don't think I had seen him wear these ones, and he was just phenomenal.
Even I
Before
asked him, I was like, "What pads are you wearing?" And he goes, "Oh, I just found it somewhere in like my home." And I was like, "You bring new pads every single week, man."
before we jump to the next section here, I'm going to ask our two goalies here with us. In your opinion, sometimes you just run into a goalie that's super hot, right? It's just hard, if not impossible, to score on them. What do you think is a factor for you guys that causes you to have a hot game versus a cold game? Marcel, I'll go with you first.
For me, it's the warm up.
Hmm.
It's how you start off. That's just me. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe Yusuf has something else, but if like and honestly, it comes down. Maybe it's a mental thing, but usually when you end up making the first two saves or the first save,
Hmm.
that's kind of it's out the window. You're like, okay, I made the first save. Now I'm
Yeah.
moving on to the rest of them. But generally, it's how warmed up you are. Like if you go in a game
Sorry, the
cold,
save in the warm up or the save in the game you're
just
talking about?
just in the game, the first save
The
in the
game.
game. If
Okay.
you made that, you're good. But generally for the warm up, if you really gotta feel it as a goalie. If you really feel like
Mm,
you're blocking the lanes, you're stopping the shot, you're reacting
Hmm.
quick, you've kind of worked up a sweat, and now you made the first save. Now you made the second. The minute the first two three saves are made, and if you've made like really good saves where you feel happy with your positioning, with your rebound control,
Yeah.
with where you are, and then you know how the game's going to turn out immediately. But I think another important part, and this is where it gets really, and I'm really glad that how this season turning out is, Marshall, I feel like every goalie is playing well, and what happens, I know in my case, and maybe for you as well, Yusuf, is if you see the other goalie playing well, it kind of lights a fire inside you, and you're like, okay,
yep.
well, he's making
I'm
those
not letting
saves
this guy get a shutout. I need the shutout.
as well, right? So you kind of like it's like that's why like we don't really have like player to player battle. We have like goalie battles where we're like, okay, who can make the most saves? Who can make the nicest saves? Who can like so it's kind of like a couple different things I would say.
You
Okay. What
guys are a
about you,
different
Yusuf?
breed.
I
We're
would
weird.
agree with I would agree with Butchie. You know, it's the first couple shots, the first couple looks, and then you kind of feel it out. But I think it's ultimately like also like the team as a whole too, how they're playing, how the energy is. Like I think like the difference between a good goalie and a great goalie is a good goalie will make the first save, be in position. You
Yeah.
know, cover the rebounds, the basics. You know, a great goalie will bail out your team, right? And in order to do that, you know, you need to be on obviously, and I feel like for me, like when like attendance has really killed us. So
Hmm.
we've had a lot of times where guys are gassed, so we're hemmed in. When we're hemmed in, I'm going up and down side to side. So I lose my, I start to get gassed, so then I can't, go across the crease and make that second or third
Right.
save.
Right. Right.
So it's obviously, it's a team sport and it's a 200-foot game. So just having everyone on, everyone there. At the end of the day, when you're the last line of defense, if all the other lines of defense aren't, doing their
Yeah.
part, then
Yeah.
it's harder for you to make those saves, right? So I definitely, I'm something that feeds off of the team's energy, but also getting those first looks, like what Bati
Now
said,
some
is very
now
important
some
as well.
goalies will say that they actually want to face a lot of shots and stuff versus others
Hmm.
be like, yeah, I don't want to gas myself out. Which camp
That's
are you
me.
guys in? Marcel?
Yeah. For me, like I'm the type of goalie that if I don't face a lot of shots, I don't know what it is, but it's like I'm cold. I need to be in the
No, I
game.
agree.
I need to get like shots like consistently so
Hmm.
that you stay more in the game because it gets really tough. Like when you don't face a lot of shots, we're kind of like you're just in position, right? You're kind of like
Yeah.
You're
then
just saying, yeah,
you're just standing there. So then you gotta like I'll try to move around, get some blood flowing in my legs by going up and down a little bit, try to walk around that kind of thing. So you
Yeah.
stay active, but you wanna, for me especially, I would say I don't know, Yusuf, for you, but you want to face shots consistently.
absolutely, yeah. Like there was a second game where we beat Rhythm 9-3 because their guys, their main guys were missing. I think they had maybe three guys on the bench. I think I would have gotten the shutout if they had more guys there because I would have
Hmm.
gotten more shots. All their goals were it was kind of like the same three goals. I think two of them like it was a turnover. He came down, sniped it off the wing. I wasn't expecting because I had gotten maybe 3-4 shots on at that point.
Yeah.
And then, we scored maybe three more, and then I was really just super cold. And then it just kind of came out of nowhere, and you're not really ready, you're not set, you don't have the blood flowing. Um, and yeah, so yeah, definitely facing shots is yeah, definitely key.
Yeah. So I guess Habibi, it's like us third liners now that we need to get into the game too. Otherwise, you just go out there, you run up and down and change.
We're lucky if we're even on the third line at this point.
Run up and down, and or worse is like you wait for your chance to go on, and then some
And then pray
dumbo
to
on the
get off.
second
It was
line
like,
takes
please
the
get me
power
off.
play. They take a penalty, and then you're stuck on the bench. So just like the goalies, we
uh,
also need to get our legs moving.
I hear you, big guy. I hear you.
All right, so let's look at the next section of our podcast, which is there's been quite a few moves.
A few, yes.
Yeah,
My
so
phone's
let's
been
talk about them a
ringing.
little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, the trade
Who's
deadline
calling
was
your
a
phone?
couple of weeks ago, right? It's not like it was this week, or was it?
No, there was a trade deadline, and then there was the roster freeze
The roster
deadlines.
freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the roster freeze is obviously a lot of the GMs took advantage of replacing players that have been either stagnant, injured. But the last Wednesday or last Tuesday was the actual day to get all those out of the way, and boy, did we see a lot of them. I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll see
yeah.
it. We'll see what
So
happened.
so the first one was Hamza Hashmi from
Yeah.
Takwa had to drop, and you know it's unfortunate because he was having a pretty good season. He was a key ingredient on our team, and he was just really picking up his game. I'm not quite sure what the situation was here, but either way, unfortunately, he had to drop.
It was an injury.
But
Yeah.
injury, okay, there you go. And the replacement is the veteran Ittisham Qureshi. Always a pleasure to have Itti on any team. So while we are sad to see Hamza go, we're also very excited to see Itti coming back in.
Yep.
He's been
And
on that team before, so
Say
yeah,
again, Arsenal?
he's familiar with the guys. So I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where, at least from my perspective, it's good to see that GMs are still vested in winning and providing the best product out, and seeing Tuckwa making this move in terms of like still having that competitive drive. You know what I mean? Still doing what they need to do to get the best product out that Ducko can get. So I love it. I love to see GMs doing this stuff, like in terms of like still having that competitive edge. But into Sam, obviously, we all know who he is and
Mhm.
what he brings to a team, and obviously providing that veteran leadership to a team like Tuckwa, it'll definitely add value for sure.
Yeah, yeah. The next one.
Boy,
This
this one.
this is a huge one, right?
oh
Like,
wow, bro,
so you got
what
you
is
got
this?
Abu dropping again. I'm not sure why each one of these players drop. Let's say whether it's travel or whatever it is, injury.
Travel from
Um,
Malton or
I don't know, but the incoming player is nuts. You got Muhib. I mean, already,
Oh
mashallah, he's
man,
a very good player, but he's going to a team that is absolutely stacked, and then like they have
yeah.
39 goals for, and the last thing they need is another
Oh,
offensive weapon. Yet they
Well,
have Muhib and Yusuf. I'm going to go to you first, which is
mhm.
how does this guy go through waivers and nobody claims him?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I mean, he's a first rounder, so
crazy.
it's hard for any GM to give up your first rounder
He's
because
a
that's something you
camp
probably planned.
almost. Hmm.
Yeah, right. That's something kind of like you have on your mind for as soon as you become a GM and you see that draft player pool.
Yeah,
But I mean, two of the GMs picked their brothers, I think, first round.
that's
And then I think I don't think Mooney and Ali would have wanted to give up Osman, but the other teams, I mean, this would have. If it was me, it's a no brainer. Sorry to whoever I
yeah,
would have picked first round.
yeah,
Like last year, I got Mikhail's lady first round. I would like starting. I would give him up for Mooney. But this is honestly, this is a frustrating trade because Verda's so good. Like
yeah,
Putty and I know, like they know how to. They don't shoot hard, but they know how to place it. Right,
yeah.
like it'll go just an inch below my blocker, like right above my shoulder. And Muhib is another elite shooter. So these guys are going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, Arsel, you and I were talking offline, I believe, saying that, um, you know, these teams they pick their friends or family in the first couple of rounds, and I can understand why you want to keep them, right? You don't want to lose your friends and family, but do the GMs also not have a responsibility to better their team, right? Because it's not just about your family; it's about your extended family, which is your team that you are responsible for. So, would it be unfair for me to say that some of these GMs should have foregone any kind of family
loyalty.
and friends ties for the sake of bettering their team.
So I think there was a comment that said what I would like kind of like hopefully all the GMs understand familiarity is
Mm-hmm.
not going to win you a championship, and I'm
Mm.
going to be very honest about that. So sometimes you have to look at what teams are there, and it may just be you may just be the second best team, and if you know that a player like this is going to come in and make a team go from like a strong team to a powerhouse, you may want to like snag that player so they don't get that player and you take them instead
Yeah.
and give somebody else a price. So you kind of have to be strategic about it. I think with Mohamed Bulbalia, Yaya Kotiwala, Ayaz Patel, and they have a bunch of guys that are depth guys on their team,
Mm-hmm.
and with Degmaster and Nat, now they've gone from a strong team to a powerhouse, right?
Yep.
So I understand you want to try to keep the familiar faces together, like in your what you said, Yusuf, like respectfully, I disagree. I know that you want to keep the Greenbirds core together, and I know at the same time when it comes to Daud, he wants to keep familiarity. Yakin
Mm-hmm.
probably wants to keep Adam Ahmed. Like I understand, like everybody wants to keep their own guys, but you have like a proven sniper over here, Pule, with Muhib Shah, and you know that he can pick corners, he can dangle, he can make a team better, and then you put him on a line with Bully and Yaya. That insane. That line is just now.
Just shifts the
It's gonna
balance.
it's gonna
Yeah.
roll over
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't again I don't know. I'm not a GM, and maybe inshallah one day I will be. But I don't understand the logic. So yeah, I don't know.
I
Well,
mean,
the logic is Abdul Madra is still a great player. So
of
let's
course.
Of
not
course,
let's
no,
not
no
discount
discounting
it.
Abu,
Yeah.
not at all.
But what I'm saying is, if Mohib was entered in the draft, he would be obviously a first round player.
Yeah.
But what Arif's saying, and I totally agree with him, is that usually, it's the friends and family thing. So usually, it's that first round. It's a familiar friends and family, and usually when you have that in the mix, obviously the loyalty would probably tend towards that as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
the team. And Yusuf is correct. I mean, in this situation, it probably happened this way. But at the end of the day, all 8 teams have a first round pick that they felt
Yeah.
was the best player for their team.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So you talk to any of the 8 guys and they'll tell you, yeah, I drafted this guy. He was the first round pick for my team. But you're absolutely right, Arsenal. If I saw a guy like Mohib Shah, I don't care if it's Hamoudi. Hamoudi, sorry, but like, I love you. You're my brother-in-law, but Mohib is yours. Assalamu alaikum. We'll
Uh,
have shisha and
we'll
we'll
have
be
shisha
okay.
after,
Yeah,
right?
we'll be
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Don't take it personal, but you can't let a guy like Mohib go by. But again, I've been in this business long enough to know that there's probably side conversations that have probably happened.
Sure. Sure.
But at the end of the day, that's the business. That's the way it goes. GMs, again, like you said, RF have should put the best interest of their own team
Of the
at
team.
first,
Yeah.
of the team, and that should always be the mindset, which is the reason why they're doing it. But at the end of the day, every team has the option to pick them up, and they elected otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this again. Abu is obviously a phenomenal player, and not taking anything away from him. With Mohib, if you remember last season, similar thing happened, right? He came in, I think, third or quarter through the season. He came on that team that was struggling, and when he joined, he changed the dynamic of that team
Yep.
completely. Now he's coming into a team that's already up there. So
Mm.
where does this take him, right? It's like you've just unbalanced the entire league with
Sorry,
this.
Arif. I was gonna quickly mention. I'll just
Yeah,
quickly. We do also like something to make note of here is they are two very different players.
true.
So although you're getting Muhib Shah, who's a sniper,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who was a great ball. He's got a lot of good stick handling. He can pick corners.
Yeah.
Abu is a he's a completely different player. Abu's a
Yes.
power forward. He can stick handle. He's a leader. Like you have to understand. We don't know how this is going to play out, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe because GMs also have to take a look at that into perspective
They've
as well.
they've played with each other,
Power
brother.
forward. Yeah.
They
Like,
work
are you
with
getting
each
a
other.
power forward? Like,
Yeah, Mohib has played with them before. They're very familiar with each other.
yeah.
His first
Um,
season, he won with the Malton guys.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Mohib with Bully and that.
Yeah, that too.
There's
Yeah, that too, for sure.
there's familiarity there. But Arso, I'm not taking anything away from you. You're right. They're two different players. You don't know how it'll fit in because
Mhm.
again, there's the other 16 players or the other 14 players on the team
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right? So you're taking away something. You don't know
Yeah,
how that'll pan out with the other guys. So,
yeah.
and again, Rilla has that a little bit of that attendance issue in terms of the beginning of the
Well,
games in terms of
here's the
arriving
thing, Olivier.
late.
Like, if Abu is injured or he was not going to play, it's a moot point whether you get to keep. It's not like they're intentionally trade. It's not like it was a trade that they're
No,
losing Abu and getting. It was either no Abu or a Muhib. That's a no-brainer, right? But again, we're discussing the fact that nobody else picked them up. So, anyways, I think we've hashed this one. I think it'll really come down to let's see how it does. And to Arsenal's point, sometimes it does throw off the chemistry, but who knows? So we'll see how that pans out.
But I do hope everything's okay with Abu and it's not an injury. I wish him the
For
best
sure,
of luck.
for sure, for sure.
inshallah.
All right, the next one is Munib is out and Hussein is in.
So I'm on this team. Munib was one of those players that I don't think many of us knew who he was. Well, I kind of knew, but the GMs didn't know. I would say kind of a sleeper pick in terms of where he was
Yeah.
drafted. If we knew more about this kid, he would have been drafted a lot higher than he
Yes.
was. So he was definitely
Grinder, like hardcore grinder.
not only a grinder, but he was very much part of that top core in terms of like filling in spots where we had a lot of absences. Munib is a great loss. And he has legitimately sustained an injury. But yeah, great loss. Sorry, big loss for Joaquin. But again, with the whole waiver system, we bring in a player like Hussein Malik.
Yeah.
A little bit different in terms of the type of play that he brings. But again, no slouch either. Hussein is but Hussein is one of those players where he's either very, very hot or very, very cold. It just depends on the environment that you put him in. And I think the environment that we have him in terms of where he will fit with Joaquin, I think he'll do very well.
Well, I totally even forgot that Hussein's not playing this year because I always see him around the rink, right? So when I saw this, I'm like, wait, what do you mean waiver? He's already
He's
playing
not on a
the
Mullock team.
Well,
He's
he's
not
got
on
a
Haya?
jersey, right? So it's good to have Hussein back. Now I don't know if he's ever played with Maz before or not. I can't recall, but he would actually be a really, really solid winger to be with Maz because Maz just controls things so well, and Hussein creates space as well. That would be a
And they're both over
hard
6
combo.
feet.
Yeah, exactly. So like Yusuf, if someone like Hussein is standing in your crease, what do you do?
You let him.
yeah. You whack at him. You yell for the
Whack him.
defense to move. Yeah, you yell for the
Yeah.
defense to move him. But yeah, no, like especially like Haya's a really good team when it comes to communicating. Like they've had really big guys in front of me, like Suf, for example, and I've been saying like move this guy, move this guy. None of our defensemen can box him out. Eventually, he
Yeah.
hears me saying move him. He yells to the point he can't see shoot, and then they shoot, and I don't even see the ball until I hear them cheering in the back of the net. So yeah, this is definitely gonna bolster that forward those forward lines and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also a lot of familiarity there, so it's not gonna, he's not like that. You're gonna have to get used to any playing styles. He's just gonna fit right in.
He's
So
going to Joaquin, mother, not Haya.
yeah, I know he
Oh
has a
yes,
higher
I
jersey.
saw the higher jersey. Yeah,
He's going to my team. He's not going to.
but
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna same things, same things.
Same. It's a hockey
Yeah,
answer. It's a hockey
But
yeah,
answer.
okay, so here's the
yeah.
thing
Get
about
the ball deep, pucks on net, whatnot. Boys played great.
here's the thing about Hussein. I remember the first season that he played as a rookie. He was on our team. It was a breakout season for him. Right? He played really well, and then expectations were so high. And after that, I think he's had some really solid seasons. But it seems like he hasn't hit that plateau that we were expecting him to hit, and it could happen at any point, right? So Arsal, what do you think he has to do to? I mean, he's a solid player, but to get to that next level, because he has all the tools to do so.
It's gotta come from within. It's gotta some sort of fire, some sort of like challenge, right? Sometimes I feel like and again, you have to, you need some sort of drive to continue being good, right? To continue being great. And I feel like sometimes when you play like for such a long time and you're playing every season and you kind of like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take the season easy. It's maybe a mindset thing, but I think like you just gotta have that drive within inside you that you want to be better every single time you play. Maybe it's something you gotta work on. Maybe it's like you want to be a better, you want to have better ball control. You want
Yeah.
to place the shots better. So it's you got to pick like 2-3 things that you want to always do better and want to get
Mhm.
good at, and just
Mhm.
continue improving. I think, and it really helps that you play with your boys, but sometimes maybe it's just stepping out of your comfort zone, right? Like with
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
team now, you're not with Haya anymore. You're not with familiarity anymore. Now you're in a different locker room with different players, and you gotta adapt to them and play the way you want. And you may just find something that you couldn't
Mhm.
get before. So
Yeah,
I
that's a good
think this
point.
is I think this is good. I think this is going to be really good for us. And
Habibi, I entrust his development to you right now.
Good luck.
yes,
He's
As
gonna
long
take it to the shisha bar.
yeah, exactly. Take me to the shisha spot. As long as there's no mulligan in our locker room, then it should be fine.
All
This is
right.
crazy.
All right, so one last one. Our the friend of the show, Abdullah Patel, and also often podcast host here. He's traveling, so he had to drop out. But in his stead, we have Ahmed Khalid. And again, this is another one where I kind of question how did Ahmed go through without being claimed by anyone? Because he
that's
wasn't a first rounder, right?
No.
that's wild.
No, this was I think Abdullah was a seventh round or an eighth round. So it's obviously like because the draft pool was so dense.
Yeah.
Obviously certain players in other leagues or in other sessions would have gone higher, but at the end of the day, that's the round that Abdullah was in. So again, that also means that if a team wants to claim, they would have to claim a player that was drafted in that same round as well, or
Right,
anyone
right.
lower than that. So the GMs felt that the players that they had drafted during that round were not equitable, for them to pull it off. And that's what happened. But again, I'm on this team too. Abdullah brings a lot to the table. I mean, he's
Yeah.
one of those versatile players that brings all that offensive power, and he's a power forward, tenacious on the boards, and he was really that core of that second line that we had. So with every situation, you lose a player, you get a good player. So we bring in a guy like Ahmed Khalid. He needs to get harnessed a little bit in terms of his play. So with the leaders that we have, like Wakar and Maz and Fahad, I think that we have the tools to harness his energy to where it needs to be. So I think an environment like that will bring the best out of Ahmed Khalid. Big loss with Abdullah Patel gone, but
Yeah.
a good addition in Ahmed Khalid when we get the best version of Ahmed Khalid.
True. Yusuf, this team, Yakin,
Mhm.
they've lost two decent players, but they picked up Ahmed Khalid and they picked up Hussein, right? Those are two
Mhm.
potential disruptors in a good way, I mean,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And in a bad way.
When
Either harness
harnessed,
them together.
the right way is what I said.
So how does this change the composition of a team like Yakin, who is desperately trying to make the playoffs?
I mean, I think it definitely opens up everyone's eyes. Ahmed Khalid is the kind of guy that can, at times he can carry a team. He's a very great shooter, a lot
Mm,
of grit. Hussein also has a lot of grit too. For
mm,
a team that I think we played you guys once so far, right, BB? I don't think
Yeah.
there's a lot of grittiness on that team. There's definitely a lot of skill, a lot of hands in with Maz too, and I have Ahmed too. But just the grit and obviously the experience, everyone knows them in the league. It's definitely, people are just definitely gonna kind of be a little more careful and watch out more for Ricky. And even though a
mm.
lot of the league might not see them as a threat, seeing where they're standing and seeing the low playoff possibility as it stands right now, but I think this will really kind of revamp them, wake them up, and I guess we'll have to see tomorrow.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I guess it starts tomorrow, right? So with that
You know,
said, that was all the changes, all the trades and everything. Well, not trades, but
Replacements.
the replacements, I should say. And with that, one last thing we want to also say is we are, as always, recruiting for help in the media group. Everything from photographers, videographers, even podcast panelists and hosts. Happy to give up my spot so other people can take the mantle and keep running. I don't want to do this all my life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
English
absolutely.
English is a must. That's all we ask for. That's it. Not too
Well,
much.
even that is debatable.
Arabic is okay as well.
حبيبي يلا come to Egypt
Exactly.
يلا.
Just throw in some
يا باشا.
yallas and
Yeah.
alhamdulillahs and mashallahs and you're good to go.
Oh my God. it was-
But yeah, if you guys are interested, anyone or you know anyone who might be a good fit, send them our way. We'll take care of them. All right, boys. With that said, thank you again, everyone, for joining.
Thank you,
And,
if you did again. Thank you for
Thanks,
bringing
Ira.
us back
Great
together
job.
again.
No,
Good to see
always
you,
happy
boys.
to do so. And inshallah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Can't wait.
All right, boys. Assalamu alaikum.
Down.